Morning students, today our topic is solving inequalities. For the start, I wanted to do these 5 questions. Spend no more than 10 minutes doing the questions. Pause the video, get those done, then resume the video when you're ready to check your answers. All right, here are your answers. For the first one, we need standard form. It's less than 1. So we need to get our whole number in front. So we'll do 4.04 and then multiply by, we're going to check how many places we have moved. So we'll count times 10 to the minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's the answer. Next one, we need to expand these double brackets. So we need 4 squares, right? Creating a grid. Then we put x minus 2 on top, x plus 3 at this side. Then we'll multiply those, x times x, x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, and 3 times x, 3x, then 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. So we'll get x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. And then we'll simplify 3x minus 2x, so we'll have x squared plus 1x minus 6. So that's their answer. For number 3, we need to factorize, so we need the highest common factor. Highest common factor is 20. Then we open bracket. 20 times 5 is 100. And then 20 times 1 is 20. So we just need 1x. All right. Then we need to work out 945 divided by 35. So we're going to do a bus stop, 35 there, 945. How many 35s in 9? 0. So we carry the 9. How many 35s are in 94? That's 2. So that's 70. Leaves us with 24. And then how many 35s are in 245? It's going to give us 7. So then our answer is 27. Then we need to increase 420 by 20%. So 10%, we know we divide 420 by 10, which is 42. We need 20%, so we need another 10% is another 42. So our 20% is going to be 84. Our answer is 84 for the percentage. We need to add that on to 420. All right, so 84 plus 420 is going to give us 504 pounds. All right, so now for a topic we need to solve inequalities. So we're going to start with single inequalities. It says find the possible integer solutions to this inequality, right? So we have 6 is less than x plus 5. So we need to find out what value of x we're going to add to 5 so that it is greater than 6, because 6 needs to be less than x plus 5. So what we have to do is get rid of that plus 5 by subtracting 5. And we do it to both sides as we would do with an equation. And so 6 minus 5 gives us 1. We keep our inequality symbol as it is. And then 5 minus 5 is 0. So we're just left with x. So it therefore means for our solution, x is going to be greater than 1. All right. We can show that on the number line. So if we have 0, 1, 2, minus 1 here, minus 2 there. X needs to be greater than 1, so we'll have that above the 1, and then all the values bigger than 1 would work. Okay, and we can test that in our inequality to see if we are correct. So we have to be greater than 1, so 1 is not an option, which is why I have not shaded that circle. So the first number that is possible would be 2. First integer possible would be 2, right? So 2 plus 5 is 7, and 7 is bigger than 6. If we choose 3, then 3 plus 5 gives us 8, and 8 is bigger than 6. So therefore, we have the correct solution. X must be greater than 1. For our next example, on the right side, we need to solve the inequality to see what values are possible, okay? And so here we have x minus 8 is less than 4. So we need to get x on its own. So we need to get rid of that minus 8 by adding 8 to both sides of the inequality. As I said, it's similar to solving equations. So we will work out minus 8 plus 8, which is 0. So that leaves us with x. We keep our inequality sign as it is, or less than sign. And then 4 plus 8 is 12. So our solutions is x must be less than 12 in order for the left side to be less than 4. So on the number line, if we just mark 12, all the numbers less than 12 will be to the left side. So 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And we keep going on infinitely. All of those solutions will work for x minus 1 is less than 4. So we can test it to see if we have the correct solution. So if x needs to be less than 12, our first solution as an integer would be 11. So if I put 11 instead of x, 11 minus 8 is 3. 3 is less than 4. If I do 9, because 9 is less than 12, if we do 9 minus 8, we get 1, and 1 is less than 4. So we know we have the correct solution. Here are a couple more examples. So we need to solve the inequality. All right. So we do it similar to solving equations. We have divided x by 2. And so to get x, we just need to multiply both sides by 2. So if we multiply 2 by the denominator 2 there, it just leaves us with x is greater than or equal to 12. So whatever values of x we pick, it must be either 12 or bigger. Again, we can show that on the number line if asked. So there's our 12. X must be bigger than 12 or equal to 12. So we put our markings and we shade in the circle to say 12 is included. And then all the numbers that are bigger than 12 would be on the right side. So it can be 12, 13, 14, 15, continuously or infinitely. That's all the possible values that will work. Let's look at the question on the right. We have 20 is greater than 4x. Again, we're solving the inequality, so we need to find out what x is gonna be. So 4 and x are being multiplied, so if we want x by itself, we divide both sides by 4. And so 20 divided by 4 is 5. Keep our inequality sign. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so we're left with 1x. So the values for x will be less than 5. All right, so can show that on our number line. Use 5 as our reference. Then we mark our circle above 5, not shaded, because it just said x needs to be less than 5. All the values less than 5 will be on the left side of the circle. So that is our solution. All right, if they want you to list the integers, possible integers, then all the integers less than 5. So we'll start at 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll continue infinitely for all the values less than 5. Let's look at these where we have some 2 steps. Now we've done two-step equations, so we'll apply the same principle. So in our first example, we just need to subtract 4 first from both sides. 4 minus 4 is 0, so we're left with 2x. Keep our inequality sign, and then 6 minus 4 is 2. Then our next step is to divide by 2 on both sides. So then 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we're left with 1x greater than or equal to, and then 2 divided by 2 is also 1, so our answer is x is greater than or equal to 1. Here we have brackets, so we need to expand our brackets before we solve. So 2 times x gives us 2x, 2 times 3 gives us positive 6, and that's less than 14. Then to solve, subtract 6 first from both sides. 6 minus 6 is 0, we're left with 2x is less than 14 minus 6 is 8. Then we divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we're left with 1x. And that's less than 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So our answer is x is less than 4. So if you remember, the principles for solving equations is the same principles for solving inequalities. All we need to do is just keep the inequality symbol that is given, whether it's less than, whether it's greater than or equal to, etc. We can have double inequalities as well. So here we have the 2x in the middle, and then to the left and right we have numbers on there. So all we have to do is just focus on how do we get x to stand by itself. So x is being multiplied by 2 at the moment, so to get x we need to divide by 2, so we'll have to divide the entire inequality by 2. So the 6 is going to be divided by 2, the 2x is going to be divided by 2, the 10 should be divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, keep our inequality symbol. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we have 1x, and keep our other inequality symbol. Then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is our solution. So it means that x has to be greater than 3, but x must be less than or equal to 5. So if they ask you to show that on a number line, we just need to put in our references, 3 here, 5 there, and then put our circles above the number. The 5 should be shaded because it says less than or equal to. The 3 should be left unshaded, and x needs to be bigger than 3, which is that direction, less than 5, which is that direction. So we join the two circles with a line. Okay, if they ask you to list the integers, then you just write down the whole numbers. That will work. So it needs to be, x needs to be bigger than 3, so that's 4, and it should be less than or equal to 5, so 5 would also be included, and that would be the integers for the inequality. Okay, let's look at our second example. So here we have 5x divided by 3. So we need to get rid of that 3 in the denominator. So we're going to multiply everything by 3. So multiply 10 by 3, multiply 5x over 3 by 3, and also 15 by 3. So 10 times 3 is 30. Keep our inequality sign. This 3 will cancel this 3 to leave us with 5x. And then 15 times 3 is 45. Now we have x times 5 here, so to get our x by itself we have to divide the entire thing, inequality, by 5. So divide by 5 at 30, divide by 5 in the middle, divide by 5 on the end. 30 divided by 5 is 6, less than 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we have 1x in the middle, and then keep our other inequality sign. 45 divided by 5 is 9, so that's our solution. Now if they ask you to show it on the number line, put on your numbers, your reference number 6 and 9, put your circles above. The 9 should be shaded because it says less than or equal to. The 6 is not shaded. It says that the x needs to be bigger than 6, which is that direction. The 9 is the x needs to be less than 9, which is that direction. So we would join both rings with a line in between. And if we wanted the actual integers, the numbers, what we need to do then is list the numbers. So x must be bigger than 6, so we start at 7, 8. It says x must be less than or equal to 9, so 9 would be included, so that would be the possible integers. Now, when we are solving inequalities, there are some times when we'll have to flip the inequality symbol to the other direction so that the inequality that we solve, the values actually work. And we're going to look at that with numbers first, and then we'll apply it to actually solving inequalities. So here we have 20 is greater than 5. But if I multiply both sides by -1, so here we have 20 is greater than 5. If we multiply this side by -1, and we'll have to do that to the right side as well, we're now going to get 20 times -1 is -20, and 5 times -1 is -5. We'll have to keep our inequality symbol. But then when we look at what we have on the left and right now, after multiplying by -1, we have -20 is greater than -5, and that is not true. Okay, -5 is actually greater than -20. Good. And so if we're going to multiply an inequality by negative, it means that our inequality symbol, the direction has to change or be flipped around. So we started with 20 is greater than 5, so our greater than symbol the symbol is turned that way. But once we multiply by a negative number, you have to switch the direction of the sign. Okay, if we do it with division as well, if we use the same inequality, so if we divide both sides by -1, then we start with the same 20 greater than 5, which is a true statement. If I divide this side by -1, and I have to do that on the right as well, 20 divided by -1 is -20, and 5 divided by -1 is -5. Now, which is greater, 20 or -5? Still -5. So we'll have to change the direction of the sign when we divide by a negative number. So please remember, if you have to divide by a negative number, you change the direction of the sign. Let's look at some questions where we have to apply the idea of dividing or multiplying by a negative number. So for the first question, we have x is being multiplied by -2, and -2x is less than or equal to 12. So to get our x by itself, we'll have to divide by -2. We have to do that on both sides. -2 divided by -2 is 1, so we get x there. 12 divided by -2 is -6. The fact that we have divided by a negative number means we have to change the direction of the sign. Okay, to show that on the number line, we find where -6 is. We shade that in because x needs to be greater than or equal to -6, and then the values greater than -6 are to the right of the ring. For our second example, we need to solve for x. So we have -3x there, but we have 2 in front of it, so we do have to get rid of that 2 first. So we subtract 2 on both sides. 2 minus 2 is 0, which leaves us with -3x, and 8 minus 2 is 6. Okay, we haven't divided or multiplied, so we should keep our sign in the same direction. Now, to get x, we have to divide by -3 on both sides. Alright, so -3 divided by -3 is 1, so we're left with 1x. And 6 divided by -3 is a -2. But because we have divided by a negative, the direction of the sign has to change. Right, so to show that on our number line, we identify where -2 is. It says greater than or equal to, so it means we shade our ring, and we check for the values that are greater than -2, which is to the right of -2. For a final example, we have a double inequality, so x is in the middle. We need to solve for x. Now this 2 is in front of -x, so we need to subtract 2 from the inequality, we have to do that at all points on the inequality. So 4 minus 2 is 2. We keep our symbol. Then minus x is left in the middle because 2 minus 2 is 0. And then we keep our other inequality symbol. 7 minus 2 is 5. All right. Now we have negative x, and we need to get that to be a positive x. So what we are going to do is divide by minus 1 because this is 1x. So we have to do that to all parts of the inequality. So we divide by minus 1. 2 divided by minus 1 is minus 2. 1 minus 1 divided by minus 1 is 1, so left with 1x. And 5 divided by minus 1 is minus 5. Because we have divided by minus 1, we'll have to change the direction of our sign. And so we're going to show that on our inequality, on our number line. So we will identify where minus 2 is and where minus 5 is. Then the minus 5 needs to be shaded because x needs to be greater than minus 5, greater than or equal to minus 5. So we'd be going to the right of minus 5 but to the left of minus 2 because x is less than minus 2, and so we will end up here in the middle of the valley in between minus 5 and minus 2. So that is the answer for our inequality when we're showing that on the number line. Let's clear up that part and draw it properly. Yeah, so here we go. The minus 2 should not be shaded. All right, so those are our solutions when we are going to look at this worded problem for solving inequalities. It says a farmer has a shed with an area of 40 meters squared for sheep, and we're going to use y to represent a sheep. It says by law, one sheep must have 5 meters square of space for itself. So how can we write this as an inequality and how many sheep are allowed in the shed? So we're going to start with this bit of information here. Okay, now it says that 5 meters squared for each sheep. So 5 meters squared is the space that we're going to use for y number of sheep. Okay, because we don't know how many sheep, we need to work out how many sheep would be allowed in that shed. Now whenever we multiply 5 meters squared by the number of sheep, that's going to tell you how much space the sheep would need, and he only has 40 meters squared. So whatever space is needed by the sheep that you're going to put in there, it must either be equal to 40 meters squared or it's got to be less than 40 meters squared. So we would write 5 times y for the sheep must be less than or equal to 40, and when we simplify that we get 5y is less than or equal to 40. Then what we'll have to do now to solve is divide both sides by 5, and we end up with y is less than or equal to 8. Now remember now that y is representing the number of sheep, and so he can either have 8 sheep or less. Right, now it said the shed needs 10 meters square for a heater. So how does this change the inequality and the solution? Right, we have 5 meters square for each sheep. We don't know how many sheep will fit this time, but we know there when we add that to the 10 meters square that is needed for the heater, that cannot go greater than 40. It has to be less than or equal to 40. And so when we write that, we'll get 5y plus 10, 5y for the space the sheep need, plus the 10 needed for the heater should be less than or equal to 40. Then we'll subtract 10 on both sides, and we end up with 5y is 30. Then we'll divide by 5 on both sides, and we get y is less than or equal to 6. So we can have 6 sheep or less. in this scenario where 10 meters squared of the shed is now used for a heater. Alright, let's look at this problem. The maximum allowed weight for a vehicle on a motorway is 40 tons. So we're looking at a truck that weighs 6 tons and the truck can carry 2 containers. So I want to look at what the maximum weight allowed, what's the maximum weight allowed for each container. And also we need to look at how can we write this, how can we describe this using an inequality. So let's create the inequality. We know that the truck cannot have more than 40 tons on the motorway. We have a link of 6 tons for the weight of the truck, and then we have containers that we don't know the weight of, so we are going to call that X, and the truck can carry 2 containers, right? So the weight of the containers, 2x at the moment, plus the 6 tons of the truck should not pass 40 tons, right? So either it's going to be exactly 40 tons or less than 40 tons when we check the weight of the containers and the weight of the truck. So the inequality then would be the weight of the containers, 2x, plus the weight of the truck, and that should be less than or equal to 40. Then we're going to solve that, so we'll subtract 6 on both sides first, and we'll get 2x is less than or equal to 34. Then we divide by 2 on both sides, and then we'll get x is less than or equal to 17. So the weight of the truck can be less than or equal to 17 tons. Alright, Sally wants to go on holiday and it will cost her at least 200 pounds, so 200 pounds or more. Yep, she needs to have that to go on holiday. She already has 50 pounds, right? She gets 10 pounds per hour, so 10 pounds multiplied by each hour, alright, is what she'll get paid. And then it says how many hours does she need to work before she has saved enough money. So she needs to save 200 pounds or more. So how do we write that inequality? Her 50 pounds plus whatever she is paid, 10 pounds per hour, should add together to be either equal to 200 pounds or more than 200 pounds. So we're looking at greater than or equal to. So here we have 10 pounds times x. Instead of h, they have x. So that's the pay that she'll get plus the 50 pounds she has already should be greater than or equal to 200. So to solve, we'll subtract 50 first from both sides. 10x greater than or equal to 150. Then we need to divide by 10 on both sides, and that gives us x is greater than or equal to 15. So this x, remember, is representing the number of hours she needs to work to save enough, and so she'll have to work 15 hours or more to be able to save enough for that holiday. A company wants to send their robots for repair. To send something using X-Air delivery service, a package must weigh between 5 kg and 15 kg. Now, one robot weighs 2 kg. How many robots must the company send at one time? We don't know how many robots are being sent, so we're going to use X. We do know that each robot weighs 2 kg, so 2 times X is 2X. So this will represent the weight of the robots being sent, all right? And this weight has to be between 5 kg and 15 kg, and so we'll have that inequality. 2x, the weight of the robot must be bigger than 5 kg but less than 15 kg. All right, so to solve, we just divide by 2. And when we divide by 2, we end up with 5 divided by 2, 2.5. 2 divided by 2, 1, so we have 1x, and 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So the number of robots, because x was the number of robots, need to be between 2.5 and 7.5. So the number of robots that they should send at any one time can be 3 robots, 4 robots, 5 robots, 6 or 7 robots. Here's your task that I'd like you to go to show my homework and access the worksheet to link, and the instructions for what you need to do will be there. Once you've finished, you can open the answer link to mark your work, then send photos of what you have done. Please make sure you mark the work before sending and you'll get some feedback. Thank you and have a nice day.